So, there's a new Resident Evil movie coming out within the next couple of years, and it's being directed by the dude who directed that new movie Weapons, which I haven't seen, but I've heard good things. And people did seem pretty stoked that he was directing the movie, right until he announced he wasn't going to use any of the characters or lore from the RE video games, and was essentially going to do something original within the confines of their Resident Evil universe. So, I guess I'll be waiting for the next fucking Resident Evil remake. Unfortunately, I may have to wait a long fucking time for that, because this could still be a good movie. And most normal people aren't going to give a shit if Leon, Claire, or Chris, or anyone else from the Resident Evil games are even in these movies. Like, people kept a passable Resident Evil action franchise going for like fucking 15 years, man. Yeah, I'm talking about the Milla Jovovich Resident Evil movies. Those movies weren't great. So you can't tell me people won't keep a 6 out of 10 Resident Evil franchise going, as long as it has the Resident Evil name attached to it. Which also means if an 8 out of 10 Resident Evil movie comes out, even if it doesn't follow the games, that doesn't mean they won't keep the franchise rolling for many, many diminishing sequels. Which is very disheartening. Why are you all doing this to me, seriously? When the first Resident Evil movie came out and wasn't completely terrible, I was always hopeful that they may get better as the series went on. But after watching a couple of those bastards, I realized that probably wasn't going to happen. Hey, don't judge me. I caught on by the third one. Even after watching the second one. Almost made me never want to watch movies again. So I completely lost interest in the movie series. They seem to shit out a new terrible movie every year. Even though some of those sequels were like sometimes years apart, but it felt like they never stopped shitting them out every year. Plus, they all look terrible with their CGI grossness, and just no effort to make them scary or horror-like. But they made enough money every time to keep making them, so they did. Basically, that was the Resident Evil we all had to accept. At least until January 27th, 2017, when the last Milla Jovovich, it doesn't matter. When her last Resident Evil movie came out, and a glimmer of hope finally entered my life.
That's so sad.
But after another failed movie, and then a failed TV show, that were completely and hilariously terrible, and completely unsuccessful, fans thought the studios had finally got the message. Well, I guess not. At least they hired a competent director this time. So, they're halfway there. No John Bovey reference implied. Please don't ever take Bon Jovi references and apply them to anything I've done, please. They just have to find someone who's a talented director and who also wants to adapt the games pretty closely to the source material. And I don't think I'm in the minority on this at all. These games seem like they're made for the big screen, or even the small screen. I would watch the shit out of a Resident Evil TV show if it was based off the games, and if it was rated R. There are a few animated Resident Evil movies, but I've heard for the most part they're unwatchable shit, even though they do feature characters from the games. But the fact they can't seem to make those work either tells me they really need some help in this department. Because it really shouldn't be so hard to make a good Resident Evil movie, especially when there are already 2 movies out there that pretty much hold the recipe for a great Resident Evil movie. And those movies are 28 Days Later and Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Everything you need for a perfect Resident Evil movie is right there. But that isn't really what this video is about. This video is more about why studios insist on not doing closer adaptations of properties they own, when not doing so pisses fans off every single fucking time. I mean, every single time. I'm not really sure why Hollywood has a problem taking a property and adapting it from the source material that it comes from. But apparently that's way too big of an ask. And don't forget to get your umbrella out for all the excuses the movie studios are going to be dropping on you when this movie probably fails. Which is just so predictable. For some reason, movie studios seem to be surprised after they tell fans of these properties that, hey, we're changing things from the lore. And then having the fans tell the movie studios that, hey, we're not watching the movie. And then we get to watch the movie studios be surprised when the movie fails. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why do you want to lose money so badly? Like, why doesn't anyone in the biz learn their lessons? Like, how can you be this dense, or how can you be this far out of touch? I feel like if I was the head of a movie studio, I would never stop firing people. I guess that's the rub when you have an artistic field like making films, which is only possible through its profitable business side. Although call me crazy, wouldn't it be somewhat profitable to have at least one dude on your executive board who can look down the road a little bit and be like, hey, every time we do this kind of thing we lose money, so maybe we shouldn't do that. I mean, that guy probably exists, but they all probably ignore him, or bring up the one time their stupid plans actually worked out as an example of their dumb plans working. It's essentially like when you tell someone that 99% of people who drive across a certain bridge will die crossing it, but for some reason some people will then proceed to tell you about the time their cousin drove across that bridge and survived. They see it as an argument against the bridge being unsafe, and a lot of people fucking think that way for some reason. But that's not something I really want to get into right now. That's like a whole nother topic for a whole new video I'll probably never make. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, the fact that you're an idiot doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get a high-paying job as an executive at a movie studio. So just keep that in mind, kids. My final thoughts are, what the fuck? Why are they doing this to us? Why do movie studios have to keep doing this? Why aren't they being fired? If you were this unsuccessful at your job, wouldn't you be let go? If you lost millions of dollars for your employer multiple times a year, every year since you started working for them, wouldn't you just be fired? They'd probably also throw pocket sand in your face. But that's a culture of failure that doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. So I guess we'll all have to just keep hoping the right people get involved at some point and we'll finally get what we want. Of course, I've been waiting for almost a decade for Star Wars and Marvel to get turned around again. And essentially I've been waiting 25 years for a good Resident Evil movie, so this could take some time. But maybe someday the studio will take pity on us, or Capcom will. But I can't really say much about Capcom dropping the ball. They are still releasing some great Resident Evil games. It's just the movie side that's failing. And I'm not sure how involved Capcom is on that side. But that's the end of this fucking video. Hopefully you agree that I'm right about everything. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you.